My Luo brothers and sisters, especially the youth, I have heard Raila Odinga call you to political rallies throughout the country. These are not really political rallies. These are street duels. That his real intention is to pit you against the government of the day. It is common knowledge that whenever Raila Odinga's popularity goes down, he starts a war with the government of the day. It works. It is scientific. When you show a people a formidable enemy and leads them into war against that enemy, they begin to worship you. They begin to love you. They begin to see you as a deity. This is the science that Raila Odinga is using. His intention, incidentally, is not even to capture Kenya. His intention is to keep the Luo in the same box he has kept them since 1994. From that box, he picks anyone he wants at a time and favors. Raila Odinga has never fought any war for the Luo. He fights it for himself and his family. God has mysterious ways of exposing people. In this last general election, Raila Odinga made us believe that he has the deep state and is going to be the president. Deep inside him, he had no intention of being the president. He had intention to keep the Luo in the same box and benefit from their loyalty. When you go to the streets on Wednesdays, if you ever do, the chances that you are going to get hurt is big. And when you do, if you have children or dependents on loved ones, they will miss you. Many of them will suffer if you are the breadwinner. But as you know, I have never known or heard of Raila Odinga taking care of anyone who dies in the streets because he called people to the streets. He does not even know who gets them buried or where they are buried or how their families are doing after their death. He never cares. For a Luo is supposed to support Raila Odinga as a duty. Today, Raila Odinga is telling us how EBC is undemocratic. He goes on to tell us that a player cannot appoint a referee in any contest. Please, son of Jaramogi, look back at your own National Election Board for ODM. The chairperson of that board was a player and nominated herself first on top of the list to the National Assembly. The ODM director of elections, who controlled that board, was himself a candidate in the parliamentary elections. The ODM director first nominates his wife and then his other family members. Yourself, Raila Odinga, you have nominated all people in your family that were nominatable. You first take care of your brothers and sisters, nieces and nephew and cousins, and even your in-laws before you think of Luos. Whenever an opportunity arises for Luos, you always claim your proverbial word, itaonekana vibaya. Today in Mombasa, where there are 100,000 Luo voters, there's not a single MP, and there is only one MCA. Whom did you give the certificates? The Luos die for you, but you feel nothing about them. You are the proverbial wrestler who loses a wrestling match and blames cow dung for tripping him. All the time, every time. When you lost this last election, you first blamed Kamago. Then you blamed Chebukati. Then you blamed Martha Koome. Then you went ahead. Now I hear you are blaming the West. If the West is the problem, why are we talking about IEBC? Why do you want us to reform the IEBC? You talk about democracy. You talk about fairness. But you are the mother of unfairness and the mother and father of dictatorship. In Luoland, only your way goes, because you have captured the Luo into a box believing that if you don't become the president, they are dead. And when you become their president, all their problems evaporate. With that, you only need to tell them the people who are going to help you maintain the presidency. Something you have no intention of winning or taking, even if it was placed on your laps. In order for you to win the presidency, you came up with something called BBI. The worst form of law reform I have ever heard of or seen. A situation where one community was going to get 70 seats against a similar community which was going to get 3. And you never felt there was anything wrong with it. In order for you to be the president, the Kenyan currency was changed at enormous cost just to disadvantage your opponent because you believed he had money under the mattress. In order for you to become the president, a special police squad was formed just in case somebody stood in your way. In order for you to be the president, several officers were persecuted, interdicted, and even charged for nothing really wrong. You have not even come to tell your loyal supporters the exact reasons why you failed to be the president. But today you want to take them back to the streets to fight a war with no crown, to fight a war with no goal. Please, my Luo brothers and sisters, do not go to the streets. You will suffer, your children will suffer, your loved ones will suffer, but Raila Odinga will not want to know where they are suffering. All these many years, I have never had any day where Raila Odinga initiates a privately funded development project in Luo land. Never. The political party ODM receives hundreds of millions annually. Yet, the Luo base where the votes come from that make it receive so much money has never received any help. An organization with billions cannot even have a headquarter because the controller believes when he goes away, he should go away with everything. If you really know that it is the Luo that has made the ODM what it is, and some other supporters, it was fair that the ODM invested in itself so that when the people who envisaged it go, others come and benefit from it. But it has turned into a one-person thing. The ODM supporters have believed that a person can own a political party. It is not possible. A political party is owned by the public, by the members, by the supporters, and that explains why it receives money from the exchequer. But Raila Odinga has always exploited the ignorance of the people to make them believe that a political party can belong to him. It does really belong to him because he uses the powers and strength of a political party to only nominate, to only appoint members of his family, friends, and close relatives. Today we have had exactly every member of his family and close relatives benefit from the party at the expense of the Luo who fight for the party, the ones who have now been called to the streets to fight for the party. My Luo brothers and sisters, do not go to the streets. We are dealing with a man who told us it is Kamago, then it is Chebukati, then it is Kome, then it is the West, then now we are going to the streets to reform an already reformed IEBC. Raila Odinga has been in the forefront of lawmaking in this country, and he knows there are laws that were made for removing commissioners from office. And I have seen those are the exactly laws which are being used today. If he really wants to save the Cherera 4, all he needs to do is to hire for them credible lawyers to defend them as they go through this process. If he really wants to help them, then he should say, if you lose your seats, I will pay you your salaries up to the end of your term. That would be magnanimous. That would be humane. But to take Luos to the street, to go and fight for 4 people, is to take the Luo for granted. I have lived now for 50 plus years, but I have never met a man who is so deceitful. I have never met. I have never been taken round. It is time Raila Odinga gets out of the way for the Luo, for a leader to emerge. Luo land is not sort of charismatic leaders who can take them forward in politics, in development. They have not lacked a person who can take them forward in prosperity. Since 1994, Raila Odinga took a path to ensure every good Luo leader who is capable of leading the people is suppressed until he dies. Professor Umamuga was left, a brilliant man who could have taken us forward. Shemu Chuodo and many others have been suppressed. They can't go anywhere. They can't do anything. Because Raila Odinga has captured the Luo with the lies. I do not know what explanations Raila Odinga has for losing elections 5 times, including one in which the competition had their hands behind their back and tied to the goalpost and the ball put at the penalty area and he did not score. This is a man who would not take power even if it is placed on his lap. Unless there's something we don't know. But I want to urge you, the Luo, do not go to the streets. You cannot fight a war with no crown. In any case, we are most likely not going to have a winning presidential candidate in 2027. So why are we reforming IEBC? Raila Odinga, from where he sits, he believes the elections in Nyanza were free and fair and there should be not even petition. So why are we reforming IEBC? Because those are the seats we are going to go back for. My brothers and sisters, do not go to the streets. May God bless you, plus your families, plus your health. May God give you strength and wisdom to see where I'm coming from. Hallelujah.